I'm back. And joining me at present is the Mayor of Towyn in Kinmel Bay, Morris. Welcome.
Thank you. It's nice to be back again.
Nice to be back.
We sort of missed last month's things went slightly wrong, but I'm sure we can catch up today.
Yes.
So what's happened really from the 16th of July right the way through to the 15th of September this year. Not a great deal, because in August we try and have a break, but sometimes things happen and you find something else to do. So I'll go down the list.
And you've been on holiday, don't forget the holiday.
Well, do you call it an holiday when you have the son and future daughter-in-law with you? Their hard work.
I hope they're not listening.
It makes no difference.
That's still hard work.
Anthony would know exactly what I'm on about, and so would Sonia. She's... I could say she's a nightmare, but never mind.
But never mind. No.
Never mind. So, 16th of July, we had the school leavers service at my Towyn. That's the year 6 moving on to what they call the big school. And yes, they did quite a nice show, things that they wanted to do. Some of the parents came along. In fact, there was quite a lot of the parents, as usual at my Towyn. Some lovely singing, a fantastic afternoon, great show. The next day, it was over to Eforrid, year 2 moving on to my Towyn. They did something special. For an infant school, they were absolutely fantastic. And I'm going to get myself in trouble for this, because I'm a governor at my Towyn, and to put Eforrid as the better of the two, I'm leaving myself open to criticism, but that's what it's all about. But they put on the greatest school, taken from Barnaby's The Greatest Show, and it was absolutely fantastic. They had one young lady there that took on the headmistress role, and you couldn't separate them apart. I'll leave that one there before I get myself into any more trouble.
A little bit of local competition there.
I think there's a lot of competition between the two schools, even though one moves into the next school. We've got 2 quite young head teachers. One's recently been promoted to headmistress. Obviously, she had to go through certain criteria to get the position, because she's been a standing headmistress for 2 years now, but she got the job, which is absolutely fantastic. 18th of July, this is 3 days running. Myself and Lynn's always by my side. I must say that. She's everywhere I go, Lynn goes. We went down to Alistair House, which is just down the road from us, and we had a garden party. And again, we were joined by the children from my Towyn school. And when I say we were joined by the children, one of the particular lads, the first time he actually visited Alistair House, he went back to school and he actually wrote a letter to one of the residents of Alistair House. And I'm not joking, that letter is a tearjerker. And every time you go, this letter comes out, because it's so impressive what this young lad did.
Why is that?
I think the whole thing, as young as he is, touched his heart, and he sat by this one lady throughout the visit. Not the visit on the 18th, a previous visit, and it's as if he grew up all at once, and he makes it a point now that every time there's a group going to Alistair House, he's there. And I'm sure when he finishes with my Towyn, I'm sure he'll still visit that residential home.
That's good. It's good.
It's good to learn so early in life what dementia is about.
I think in the past people have actually just been with dementia and just managed this, haven't they? And we've segregated some people sometimes.
Well, I think in the past, I don't think it had been known as dementia. And to be perfectly blunt, a lot of people would have think, and I'm sorry to put it this way, you know, they've gone mad sort of thing. But it is a disease. It's a disease that we're getting more of, and yes, certain people say it's going to be eradicated within 10 years. I can't see that happening, because there's more and more people living with dementia, and now you see it on the television programmes. They bring it into everyone's life all the time, and it is needed, because it's a terrible, and I'll call it a disease, it is a disease. But we will eventually get there. It's like other diseases. We will get there, but when, I wouldn't like to say.
Yes, I think like all of these things, people are working on these things because they see there's some big money in.
Well, yes. There's. I mean, when you think how much people have to pay to stay in one of these residential homes, I mean, I think you're sort of starting at around about £500-600 a week to keep someone in a residential home. It's a lot of money, but they do need a lot of care. And they do get care in these homes, there's no question about it.
And, I mean, you go in as a mayor. Do you enjoy going into the places?
Oh, yes. I mean, I worked in a residential home for dementia for 6 months, and it opened my eyes, hence the reason that I made one of my charities dementia. I became a dementia champion some 2 years ago, and anywhere I can help with it, I will help.
That's good.
And they love to see you when they visit. You know, they don't. Yes, they do forget a lot of things, but all of a sudden something sparks a little bit of something there. I mean, I'm not going to mention any names, but I do an ancestry group, or I used to do an ancestry group, and one of the group members got onset dementia, which I took him aside, and we do the ancestry once a week as a private session, and we get on like house on fire. And the following week, he can't remember where we left off, but we soon get back to it. But I shall keep going with him for as long as I can, because there's always something there in ancestry.
Those early memories, they're the ones that stick with people, aren't they? And they're the ones that will come out, whether remember you, those early memories are there.
Yeah, the very early memories are the ones that stay with them. I mean, if you talk about dementia and you go on to be a dementia friend and whatnot, they start talking about a bookshelf, and the books on the top of the shelf falling off from the top all the way down to the bottom, and that's how people with dementia lose their memories, losing it from the top, the very latest things that have happened, working all the way down, and they can remember what happened from when they were children, but what happened yesterday totally disappears.
I think that frightens a few people when someone asks them what they had for lunch or what they had for breakfast, and they can't. But there's a big difference between that and actually dementia, isn't there?
Oh, a big difference. I mean, a lot of people say, you know, I keep forgetting this, I keep forgetting that. That's got nothing to do with dementia. It's something totally different. I mean, I can say now, you could tell me your name now, walk out the door, and what was his name? And it's nothing like dementia. a lot of the time you can actually see it in people's faces, the way they act. There's loads of things when you've sat with people with dementia, when you've worked with people with dementia, it's totally different. And when you have worked with them, it's satisfying that you've helped them.
That's good.
So, onwards from that, 20th of July. So, as you can see, 16th to 20th of July has been quite busy. We had an afternoon tea down at Create a Smile. Guests from several councils, the mayors, and some local friends. And we had a fantastic afternoon. I did a raffle prize, which went down well, because all this comes from my funds for my two charities, and again, dementia and children with additional learning needs. And this is what various functions are about that the Mayor actually does as his thing. And throughout the year I've got many others to go. 21st of July, civic service. A new mayor over at Conway, Graham Edwards. He's in his term of office quite early, 21st of July, for a civic service. Went down quite well. We walked through the town. It was a lovely day. Funny thing happened afterwards, though. We left church and we went to the local, I think it was the local Labour Club, which is just round the corner. We had a nice meal there, a lot of chatting, as we do, with the chain gang all together. And then myself, Lynn, and the Mayor and a consort from Abergele walked towards the car park against the castle. And as we were walking, there were 3 coaches. And we got past the first one. We didn't get past the second one or the third one for another half hour. 2 coachloads of Americans. Why are you wearing the chains? Because we'd still got the chains round.
Yes.
And of course, they all wanted photographs. And we couldn't just leave them there with one photograph. They actually all got off the coach, and every one of them took photographs.
So they think it's really relevant, the office that you hold and what you do. How do you think local people take the office of mayor?
Well, they do take it well. It's different parts of the community. For instance, I had my civic service down at Kinmel Bay Church down St Asaph Avenue, and a lot of the parishioners there and a few from St Mary's came for the event. We had an awful lot of dignitaries there, overwhelming really, but I want to go into that later. But yes, some do, some don't. Conway, for instance, you walk from the pier up the town centre into the church, and every one of the shopkeepers up the high street there come out and take photographs. They want to see what's going on. Yes, Conway's a nice little walled town, so yes, people do like it.
Yeah, that's good. And you, a lot of it you do for charity. That's one of your reasons for being.
All these civic services end up for something for charity. If they don't have a collection at church, at the function they will do a raffle, and again all that money goes to each individual mayor's charity. Every one of them has got a charity of some sort. Unfortunately this year quite a few of them, unfortunately is the wrong word really, dementia comes into it a lot, and children with additional learning needs comes into it a lot. But you don't know until you actually get to one of their civic service and find out what they're doing.
No, and I suppose that's one of the things about a lot of the charities, the safe ones, are around children, around elderly people, And again, less for people who've actually rehabilitation for prison or from other sort of drugs, drink and everything. They're less popular, aren't they?
That's right. I mean, going back onto this civic service and all the Americans, I can remember when I did my first stand-in civic service last year, and I wasn't sure whether I should walk through the town with my chain on or put it on when I got to the church or whatever. But you soon get to learn. And then eventually you wear it with pride, and you do wear that chain with pride, believe me.
Because it's that respect that you have as the representative of that town, isn't it?
That's right, that's right. You know, no matter where you go, people will stop and stare when they see a chain round, or that sort of chain round someone's neck.
And you've got to dress up and behave appropriately. You couldn't fall out of a pub with your chain on, could you?
Oh, no. Well, I wouldn't do that in any case because I don't drink, so so that makes it easy to me. So, onwards from that, over the past couple of months I've done an awful lot of work, not so much as a service, but to better the area. For instance, Chester Avenue, the woods down in Chester Avenue, myself and Dylan, the town clerk, we went down there one Saturday, and we were clearing away one of the entrances to the woods so people could actually see into the woods, as opposed to it being blind behind and you couldn't see the children in there. You know, things like that. It's got to be done, and I've booked some more days in to go and do that even further than what we've already done it.
And do you see that community participation as both important for the job, but as important for a person who lives in the area?
It's important for, I think, all councillors should get involved in it if they've got the time to do it. I'm lucky, I'm retired. Most of the councillors are out there working, so they don't have as much time as me. But going on from that, myself and David Johnson, a fellow councillor, and Dylan, town clerk, later on in July, Sunday morning, the 28th of July, we went down to Cllr Prince Park. We'd purchased a pump, a fountain, and there we were, installing this pump. Conway had put the electric supply into the area for us, and we were putting the pump there. It was a lovely rainy day. We got absolutely soaked. And if you go on to see, or hopefully see, the pictures that I'm going to leave with Paul today, you may see me rowing towards the fountain. We'll see.
And it was a nice day. Apart from the rain, you doing something good?
Apart from the rain, we made a feature in Cllr Prince Park. The pond has now got a fountain. Conway were talking about it for years. Yes, they give us a grant to do some of it, but we've started to raise funds for the pump, for the electrician to install the pump, and for other things as well. But it's one of those things. If we can't do it, who else can do it?
And how do you prioritise your time? Because you could go on forever, couldn't you, across the area?
If I've got quite a full diary, and if I've got time to do anything, I will go and do it. If somebody asks me to go and visit a place, for no matter what it is, providing I've got time to do it, that date's free in my diary, I'll go and do it.
That's good, that's good. So you're open to almost anything across the area?
Yes, as long as it's in Towyn and Kinmel Bay. I will do anything I can. Obviously the civic services and remembrance services that we had earlier on in the year in Rill, yes, I'll go out of the area then, but I do try and keep in Towyn and Kinmel Bay if possible.
It's good. And so we're now getting into the darker nights. It's all changed. It's amazing from just a few weeks ago when in Real Air Show, when there was everyone was sort of out there and it was so warm, and now everything's just changed, hasn't it?
Well, it has, yes. I mean, going on to the air show, we had fantastic weather. We had clear skies on the Saturday, a little bit different on the Sunday.
Yeah, a bit foggy on the Sunday morning.
But they changed the timetable, so it worked fine. So I've also done a lot of work round and about the resource centre. People will notice the notice board's been repositioned. It's been painted. We've had some block work put in front of it. A lot of work done by myself, my good self. But that's me. I like to keep busy.
And your wife's not keeping you busy enough?
No.
Obviously not.
She's got things to do herself. She goes out to some of the local residential homes, knitting and crocheting, so she enjoys that. Obviously, I'm chauffeur for that,
So it's a double act quite often. Both you and her going out to different places.
Well,
doing
yes.
Things.
I mean, we go to school. We've been to school this afternoon. Lynn's been doing cross stitching. I've been doing my gardening with the children. So, yes, it does work like that.
And if you wanted people to help you, how could they get in contact with you? And can they just come along if you're doing something? Would you like your help?
You brought up a good thing about that. I've put in my diary, and I'd have to look at my diary to see what date it is. We want to do some more work down in the woods, down in Chester Avenue. There's an awful lot of work down there. And I've set myself 3 days to work, probably from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock on each of those 3 days, trying to clear up the woods, because there's a lot to do there. So yes, I'll be looking for some volunteers.
Okay.
I've got my phone somewhere, I think.
You think you've got your phone? What?
Yeah, my diary's on my phone, you see, so it's...
your whole life is probably on your phone somewhere.
Somewhere. So I'll look for the date while we're...
Okay. So you're doing lots of things. You've got busy times. You've got the time that you're going over. And what do you want people to do? How do you want them to help you?
Well, what we plan to do on this next occasion is to... If you go down Chester Avenue on the right-hand side where the wood is, right against the fence, it is very thick with vegetation, I'll call it, and we want to trim all that back so the families can see into the woods, so they can see the children playing. So as the children are not hidden away, and in a sense make them safer.
Yes.
So it's... That's the plan for that, and that's starting in October sometime. I'll get there eventually. Here we go.
You're
right.
Looking now, yes.
We are starting on October the 16th, 17th and 18th. So any volunteers would like to come along and help us, be clearing a few trees, litter picking, cutting some of the vegetation back.
Will you have some tools for people?
We will have tools for people. We're also looking for people to loan certain tools or even bring them along.
Like chainsaws or
chainsaws.
Brush cutters.
And I don't know what they call them. These machines that actually chop the trees up and...
a mulcher type.
A mulcher type of thing. We know there's one or two companies around here that have got them, but it'd be nice if some of them could say, yes, I can supply one of those.
That's good, yeah.
So that's something to come. So
the next few months, you're busy, you're out in the gardening.
Yes.
You're clearing up.
Yeah.
You'd be going to the schools and visiting all the places that support dementia.
That's right, yes, yes. I mean, 9th of August, St Mary's Church. Again, it's the children. They did a show. Strange little show, because the stage was all set. Well, let me say before we start, I walked into the church, and as soon as I put my first foot in the church and showed my face, all that I heard was, "Hiya, Morris."
Well, that's good.
They love to see me, no matter what I'm doing. So this show, it was called Around the World in 5 days. And on the stage, all you saw was a plastic cup with a plastic bag attached to it.
Right.
And that was the airbag that comes down from the
Oh, yes.
from the aeroplane. And that's what it was all about. They were the passengers on the aeroplane. They were the staff on the aeroplane, and they went to these different countries, 5 different countries around the world. Absolutely fantastic. Some lovely photographs, but unfortunately, I'm not allowed to have the photographs because of the children.
No, and that's always the thing when taking pictures of children,
It is,
isn't
yes.
it? Yeah.
So it was great, and this was done at the church. They worked on it all through the summer holidays. The kids love it. You know, there isn't a lot for the children to do in Towyn and Kinmel Bay, and for the staff from the churches to do that, absolutely fantastic.
And there's still a sense of sort of civic pride that's going round, and civic sort of responsibility, isn't there?
Yes, I got the invitation from the church. There was other things going on, but unfortunately, this was around the time of my holiday, so I couldn't go to them. But if it's there, if an invitation comes through, or I ask if I can go, then I'll go. Sad day, the 11th of August. Not too sad. Pastor Ben from Kinmel Bay Church, he did his last service. He's moving on to greater things. He's going back to university to do another year. The sky's the limit as far as religion is concerned with Pastor Ben.
Well, it is the limit, isn't it? I mean, you can't go much higher.
You can't go much higher. And, I wish him the best of luck. They're still going to be living in Kinmel Bay for the next 12 months, dependent on what happens at university, and dependent if he gets another job. And, it's, at the end of the day, no matter what you do these days, there's got to be a position there for you to fill.
And you would have thought there's a fair number about still.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but he's been a fantastic pastor down at Kinmel Bay. The amount of parishioners that actually attend Kinmel Bay Church is massive.
That's good. That's really good. And you'll be coming back in a few weeks' time and updating us?
Well, I haven't finished yet.
Oh, sorry.
Yet.
I thought that was finished there.
No, 1st of September. First time I've been in.
Oh, yes.
Yes, yeah. First time I've been in the cathedral at St Asaph. Lovely building. And it was the civic service of Peter Scott, the mayor, and Mayoress Susan Scott. Lovely afternoon, fantastic weather, fantastic service.
And what do you do at these civic events?
It's
not drunken debauchery, is it? Because you don't drink.
No. It's like a church service. Quite a lot of singing. In fact, it's no use saying it like that, because it's all dependent on what that mayor wants in his civic service.
Right.
Myself and Lynn, we wrote ours completely. We decided what we wanted. We looked at others, decided what we wanted, and that's what we got. We had 4 hymns. I did one reading in English. David Jones, the MP, did a reading, the same reading in Welsh. And the Reverend Parry he was in charge of the service, and Kevin Jones, who's a pastor as well, he was there. He did some of the sermon, so it goes through that. It's like a normal church service, but it's all about the mayor, and then dependent on what that mayor wants afterwards, there's normally a bit of food there and a bit of wine or soft drinks or whatever, and everybody stands there and has a good chat.
It's good stuff.
So that was the first civic service of September. 6th of September. This is not so much being a mayor, but if I can do anything for the RNLI, I do. For instance, over the past 2 years, I've gone and done. They have a fish and chip supper over in Ross, and I'm quiz master for the night.
Oh, very good.
So we do many a thing. We have afternoon teas. We have all sorts of things. I put that in there, even though it isn't one of my civic duties, but it's something that I
it's a representative of the coast, isn't it? The coastal towns.
Yeah. So the 8th of September, my civic service. God, what a treat. A lot of organisation. All the letters went out. We have a list of letters, or a list of people, a list of mayors, list of local organisations, and the same list goes out each year. And at the top of that list is the Lord Lieutenant of Clwyd, and under that we've got the High Sheriff of Clwyd. Now, taking into account Di, our assistant clerk downstairs, has never seen the Lord Lieutenant or the High Sheriff since she's worked here for 6 years. Lo and behold,
they turn up.
So I had the Lord Lieutenant, I had the High Sheriff, and I had David Jones as well. So
you can get the celebs in.
I don't know what I've done right, but it went absolutely fantastic. As I've said earlier, it was conducted by the Reverend Gwyn Parry and Pastor Kevin Jones. Probably about 120 people there.
It's very good.
So I was well pleased. A little bit nervous when I had to do my reading. Not used to reading in front of people. And then the second part was my big thank you, because I knew people weren't going to stay. And when I say we had people from as far as Cornwall, Essex, Stoke-on-Trent, Stockport, who actually came to my service.
And were these people who knew you?
Yes.
That's good. Yeah.
Some relations, some family friends. It's absolutely fantastic.
That's good. And if you are mayor, you do the civic services, is it a Christian-based church you go to, or can people go to any?
People can go. The mayor decides where he wants to go.
Right.
The mayor starts it all. He has to contact the church he wants to go to, or whichever way he wants to do it. He'll decide what if he's going to do a speech, if he's going to do a reading, and it's all down to him. And then he goes and he visits the church. If he isn't already a member of that church, he will visit that church and he'll go through it with the reverend or the pastor, and it gets sorted out that way.
That's good. That's good.
So on from that, 14th of September, yet another a charity event hosted by the Mayor of Denbigh, Gaynor Wood-Tickle. She did one of the
sounds a great name, that.
Absolute fantastic name. Fantastic person.
Gaynor Wood-Tickle. I'm not hearing it wrong, am I?
No, you're not. No, it is Gaynor Wood-Tickle. She'd go absolutely mad if we kept on about it as we do, but fantastic person. Done some fantastic events, but she put this concert together, and she'd had this Welsh male voice choir, and don't ask me to pronounce the name because I'm absolutely, and I will say it, I'm absolutely useless at pronouncing Welsh names. I shouldn't be, but I am. But next to me, I had the mayor of Rudland, who's part of another group of political organisations, and we do
what does that mean? There's sort of
well,
Labour.
no, he's Plaid Cymru.
Plaid, yeah.
I'm Conservative. Generally they don't see eye to eye at all.
Oh, right.
You know, so it's but we get on fantastically, and I sat there listening to this choir. All but two of the songs that they sang, or hymns that they sang, was in Welsh, and everyone, he let me know what they were singing.
Excellent stuff.
So that's how well we get on. The whole lot of the chain gang get on well together. So it's and then on Sunday gone, we're off to Holywell for a civic service. The Mayor Peter Johnson of Holywell Town Council. He's both a town councillor and a county councillor. And we went into a church that's actually no longer used for a service at all. In fact, it's going to be turned into a sort of a concert room to save the building. And it's right against the wells at Holywell. And fantastic place. We walked from the gardens up in the town, all the way down the High Street, across the main road, if you know Holywell, and down the bank to the church, holding no end of traffic up. It's a remarkable day. Normally we wouldn't actually go that far afield, but for some reason this time Holywell had sent out invitations far and wide. I'll go as far as saying someone actually came from Middlewich, which is a good way. It's not even in Wales.
It's not even in Wales.
So yes, so that's me up to date. Oh, and today, yes, I've been back to school for doing my garden class.
And that's not going to kill you, is it, going to school again? That's not going to, the children are not going to run you ragged? I
love every minute of it. It's, you know, I might get annoyed with some of the children at some time, but I never show it.
You're not a grumpy old mare, are you?
No, not with children, no.
With adults it's different.
Some animals, yes. But I won't mention that, get myself into trouble.
That's good. So you're enjoying it?
Very much so. You're very much so.
What, since you're about halfway through now, aren't you?
Well, May, June, July, August, September.
Yes.
Not quite halfway through yet. Yeah.
So a lot more to achieve.
Yes, we've got another civic service this weekend for Prestatyn.
And you're going to get lots of people involved, hopefully.
Yes. Oh, yes. It's and then we'll, you know, we'd like groups, you know, to help in various areas of Kinmel Bay. You know, it's like the dunes and the litter picking. It's sort of the same people that go all the time. So to have somebody new, it would be good. And there's lots of bits and pieces that people could do to help improve the area. I'm not saying it's a bad area, but every little bit is an improvement. Because in this day and age, when all councils, morely the county council, have not got the money to spend on what used to be spent years ago to tidy up.
And I think that we were talking that in the community voice. But I suppose the issue for me is, are you an enabling group? Because there's some authorities, there's some town councils, they're not enabling, they do their job, bum, and that's it. Would you say you're an enabling group who help people to come in, who help people to come involved? Or do you have to pay the money and then go away again?
We would like people to get involved. I mean, some of our town councillors have done some strange little jobs to help clean the area up, and really and truly, it is lawful what we do, but
I'd hope so.
well, when I say it's lawful, obviously you've got rules and regulations on what you can do. And for instance, we have a property on Towyn Road in Towyn, and it was a little bit untidy at the front, and we decided as a town council we were going to put it right. Obviously it made the property better, but it was the visual effect for the tourists and the local people.
Well, that's an interesting one. Interesting one. It's I've always sort of taken it that you, as an authority, should do some things.
Yeah.
You can do others, and in order to spend your money, and you can't do some other things.
Well, obviously, I mean, there is things that we can do, there is things that we can't do. We sat in a meeting only last week, and Conway County Council are asking the questions, will we take this on? Will we take this on? I think there was about 30 different items that they wanted us to take or think about taking it on, even as far as taking on roadworks. Dread to take that on.
No.
After what happened outside at the traffic lights, but then they want you to take it on, taking into the cost and everything into what we call the local precept money, and it'll never happen. The money isn't there for that.
Well, it's an interesting one of how communities actually take it out. There's a bit to me that says, well, why not just take the whole lot, and for the community to get rid of some of the big offices and just do it themselves?
Well, there is that, but the problem being then is when there's bigger areas, the buying power is better than just a town council.
That's right. But there's lots of local authorities and lots of town councils that have actually come together towards having spending groups, haven't they?
Oh yes.
And that's.
I mean, we as a town council have done several things, from money from our precept, and it's now getting, because we always have to ask Conway for permission to do certain things. It's now getting, they're actually seeing what we're doing, and on occasions, I'm not saying all the time, on occasions they will actually go what I would say 50-50 in cost for it.
Yeah.
So by doing some of these things, you get better respected from the hierarchy.
And in fact, communities can take over the libraries, can take over a whole range of things, can't they?
Yeah.
Take over the running of a building like this. Take over running of a community centre.
We've taken over the library. We took over the library 5 years ago. It's still going. I won't say it's making money, but it's still coping with what it's got to do. It's keeping the library there.
Yeah, that's good. It's good.
So it's all go.
So we'll be back in a few weeks.
We'll be back in a few weeks.
Get an update.
Yes, another update.
And if people want to put any comments or ask any questions, please do so.
Yes, please do so. Yes,
it's this video or anything else. And if you want to get in touch with Morris, Morris is on. We'll put Morris's number on as well, and you can get in touch with him.
That's no problem at all.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No problem.
That is great.